So let's not wait any longer. I'm delighted to introduce from Football Whispers, Joel Bailey is joining us live now on Sportuccino. Joel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
So we're going to be talking about football transfers. You know, there's so many different rumours and speculation which happen in all the various papers and sports news outlets and everything like that. But Football Whispers kind of deciphers which ones are true and which ones are fake, don't they? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your company, please?
Yeah, exactly that. We're originated from a bunch of football fans looking to decipher kind of the fact from the fiction in kind of football transfers, football whispers, stuff like that. So essentially, Football Whispers is the world's first transfer predictor or rumour ranker. We have built an algorithm which looks to generate a score between 1 and 5 to indicate how hot a rumour is. In other words, kind of how likely is the rumour going to materialise from a player moving from Team X to Team Y. The algorithm is essentially based on 4 fundamental topics. So firstly, you've got the volume of chatter. So how much of a rumor is being discussed, whether that be in fan forums, news articles, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Secondly, we can take into account the credibility of the chatter. So where is this chatter kind of originating from? Obviously, if it's kind of a writer in a national newspaper, a proper football pundit, someone like that, it's going to carry more validity than, say, myself tweeting in my bedroom. And the algorithm does account for this. So it is kind of weighted as to where the information comes from. Thirdly is the momentum of the chatter. So is the chatter increasing or decreasing? Obviously, if it's increasing, the whisper's growing, and if it's decreasing, then maybe the whisper's starting to fade away. Maybe the club have bought someone else instead. And finally, the fourth bit is the semantic connectivity, which I guess is probably the hardest thing to account for when providing a numerical score to a transfer. So this consists of sort of taking a club's financial information into account. How has the club spent in the past? Does the player need to be replaced with an injury? Have they sold a player? What is the connection between the current manager and the player linked? So, for example, Liverpool are currently linked with a lot of ex-Borussia Dortmund players, whether that be sort of a Goetze, a Royce, someone like that, purely on the Klopp factor. So they're kind of 4 factors that we take into account when providing a numerical score to a transfer rumour.
Okay, all very interesting. Well, let's try and put a bit of this to the test then, Joel. Let's go through a few of the players which have been connected with moves away from their clubs. In fact, we're going to pick 2 players who actually have requested to leave their clubs. Let's start with Chelsea. Of course, there was that big story with Diego Costa that he was offered a move to China. He wanted to go and he was dropped for that game against Leicester because apparently he wanted to go. He wanted to force a move. What are the latest rumours and what is the reliability of these rumours related to Diego Costa?
Yeah, it's been a pretty full-on week at Cobham and Chelsea for Diego Costa. So we ranked this move at 2.7 in Costa's move to China. Personally, I can't really see it happening, and certainly not in January. Abramovich, firstly, is a man big enough and strong enough, and probably most importantly, rich enough that he can hold on to him. They don't have to sell him. He is Chelsea's player, of course. He's under contract. They don't have an obligation to sell him. So the value he holds to Chelsea when they're 7 points clear at the top probably outweighs the value that they would get in a transfer fee in getting back for it. However, if you put yourself in Costa's shoes, it's hard not to be turned by 30 million a year. That's what, 5-6 times what he's currently on at Chelsea. But then it's fair to say probably Diego Costa isn't hardly the shining example of loyalty. This is a man who did kind of defect from Brazil to play for Spain at the World Cup when he could have led the line for Brazil in a home World Cup. So actually, maybe there's not an emotional tie to Chelsea. And if the money's there, then maybe he's in a position to force through a move. However, it is commonly known that he wasn't happy back in the summer when Atletico Madrid apparently came knocking. And it could happen in the summer. So maybe that's a possible destination he could go with, maybe a certain Antoine Griezmann going the other way. I can't really see it happening, particularly in January, but never say never, I guess, particularly when there's that kind of money involved.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Griezmann will come to Chelsea. I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. It also makes me wonder about Costa is the fact that he wants to go to China now. Why wouldn't you wait till the end of the season when Chelsea are in such a strong position? They're in top of the league. He's scoring goals. He's back to his best where last year he wasn't. And I would have thought that offer to China would still be there at the end of the season and in the summer. All right, let's move on to another player who wants to leave his club, Dimitri Payet from West Ham. Apparently is now playing with the under-23 squad. What are the latest transfer rumours with him and their reliability?
So we have Payet's moved to Marseille, ranked at around a 3.2. Obviously, we all know what's happened within sort of the past week at the London Stadium, with Payet coming out refusing to play and train with West Ham in an effort to sort of force a move back to the south of France. Fundamentally, I think the move is pinned on one thing and one thing alone, and that's Marseille's current reluctance to pay the 30 million that West Ham are demanding. The owners see it as he's our player, he's under contract with us. We're not going to sell him unless you pay what we think he's going to be worth. For me, the whole situation sort of stinks. West Ham honoured him with a new contract 12 months into his deal. They provided him with a £1 million signing bonus in the summer, fresh off the back of a good tournament at the Euros. And this is the way he comes back and repays them. All right, if he's not happy, fine. There's not a lot West Ham can do about that. But you know what? West Ham have done really good things for him. He's come and made a name for him. The fans love him. If he came out and said, look, you know what, I'm homesick, I'd like to go back to Marseille, look, get 30 million you can for me, we'll leave on good terms. And instead he's sort of done the complete opposite of that, and he's throwing his toys out the pram. West Ham are now getting lowballed on the 30 million and the fans hate him, and it's getting a bit of a disaster, really. And I think the West Ham fans, the sooner he's gone, the sooner the better, really. And then as long as they can reinvest that 30 million that they get for him, then I think maybe that's probably the best situation for the West Ham.
Yeah, it was interesting how they performed last week without him, winning 3-0, an amazing goal from Andy Carroll, and I really enjoyed that goal from Lanzini, and I think Lanzini could get a more important role in the side without Payet. Now, you were speaking about where they could reinvest that money. One of the players they are highly linked with this morning is Jose Fonte from Southampton. What's the latest with this, Joel?
So we rank Fonte's move to West Ham at 2.6. In my opinion, it's a bit of a weird one, really. Southampton to West Ham is a bit of a sideways step. I don't really see what he's going to gain from moving from the South Coast to London. To be fair to both teams, they're probably both mid-table sides. He's not gaining European football. He's not in contention to win anything. He's 33 now. This is probably his last real move. He's coming fresh off the back of the Euros with Portugal, and like Costa and like Payet, he's unhappy there. He's actually handed in a transfer request, and you know there's an epidemic of average centre halves in the Premier League. Fonte's a big centre back, and he probably has the most valuable trait out there in that he's actually proven in the Premier League and proven at the highest level, as kind of shown in the Euros. So actually, maybe he could do better than West Ham, and I mean that with the greatest respect to West Ham. But maybe actually he could go and provide some much needed depth at the back for Liverpool and Man City, where actually his skill set is firstly proven and B, desired. So I could see it happening, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me in terms of the player.
All right, Joel, it's been so good to get your thoughts on all of these top transfer rumours going on. For so much more information, where can we find Football Whispers online and on social media, please?
So our Twitter handle is FB_Whispers. Our Facebook page is Football Whispers, and our website is www.footballwhispers.com. So you can find all your latest transfer news and gossip and hit the back of the net at the website.
Superb. Well, Joel Bailey from Football Whispers, so great to hear all of this top transfer news. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.